Wood looks solid and stable, but it's actually changing all the time. If you've ever seen a tabletop crack, a cabinet door shift, or a wooden panel develop gaps, there's a good chance wood movement is involved. So, why does wood move? The main reason is moisture. Wood is hygroscopic, which means it naturally absorbs moisture from the air and releases it when the surrounding conditions become drier. As the moisture content changes, the dimensions of the wood change too. And here's the important part. Wood doesn't move equally in every direction. Movement along the grain is usually very small. Most noticeable movement happens across the grain. That's why a wide solid wood board can change its width significantly as humidity changes throughout the year. Imagine building a wide solid wood tabletop. You carefully glue everything together, sand it smooth, and attach it tightly to the base. At first, everything looks perfect. But then the humidity increases. The wood absorbs moisture and wants to expand across the grain. If the construction completely prevents that movement, the wood starts pushing against the structure. That stress can eventually cause cracks, splits, distorted parts, or failed joints. Now imagine the opposite. During a dry season, the same tabletop can lose moisture and shrink. Suddenly, gaps may appear where everything was previously tight. This is why experienced woodworkers don't try to completely stop wood movement. They design their projects to allow controlled movement. A wide solid wood tabletop, for example, needs a connection method that allows the top to expand and contract across its width while still keeping it securely attached to the base. The same idea applies to cabinet doors and frame and panel construction. A solid wood panel inside a frame needs room to change width. If it's trapped too tightly, seasonal movement can create pressure and eventually cause cracks or other damage. Grain direction is another important factor. Wood can be cut in different ways, and the grain orientation affects how movement appears. Flat sawn, quarter sawn, and rift sawn boards don't behave exactly the same way. You don't need to memorize every technical detail. Just remember that grain direction matters, especially when you're working with wide solid wood parts. Wood species also behave differently. Some species are more dimensionally stable than others, while some can show more noticeable movement as moisture changes. That's one reason wood selection matters before you even start building. And what about plywood? Plywood is made from multiple layers with alternating grain directions. This construction makes it much more dimensionally stable than a wide solid wood board. That's why plywood is so popular for cabinets, shelving, furniture panels, and other projects where stability is important. But solid wood isn't a problem. Its natural movement is simply part of working with the material. The goal is to understand it and build accordingly. Before starting a solid wood project, ask yourself a few simple questions. How wide is the board? Which direction is the grain running? How much humidity change will the project experience? Where does the wood need room to move? And are the joints or fasteners allowing that movement? These questions can prevent expensive problems later. It's also important to understand the difference between movement and warping. Movement is the normal change in dimensions caused by moisture. Warping is when the wood changes shape through cupping, bowing, twisting, or crooking. Properly dried and acclimated lumber can still move, but predictable movement is much easier to design for. So don't think of wood as something that should stay completely still. Think of it as a natural material that responds to its environment. When you build with that behavior in mind, you can choose better joinery, better attachment methods, and better materials. And suddenly, many common woodworking problems start making sense. The crack in the tabletop. The gap in the cabinet door. The panel that no longer fits perfectly. Sometimes, the wood isn't failing. It's simply moving. Good woodworking isn't about fighting that movement. It's about giving the wood a safe and controlled way to move. Understand that principle, and your solid wood projects can stay stronger, cleaner, and more reliable for years. Have you ever had a woodworking project crack, warp, or develop unexpected gaps? Tell me what happened in the comments. And subscribe for more practical woodworking tips, joinery techniques, workshop guides, and DIY projects. Thanks for watching.